Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome back. I am just going to do a little housekeeping before we get started. So, that's me going into my Facebook, doing what I need to do behind the scenes. Um, y'all just give me one moment. So, everyone just come on in. All right. Let's change the settings on here. Okay. All right, everyone. Come on in, come on in, come on in. We are back this year with another Get Out of Jail Sis late night conversations. I am excited about tonight's guest. I have been getting some inbox and people asking me when are we coming back with Get Out of Jail Sis conversations. Hey, cuz these conversations have definitely been freeing people, even just by the guests that we have on here. People have been inboxing them and sharing their testimony based off of what they have shared here on this platform. So I am just here doing the work of the Lord. So I'm just thankful that people are getting out of their jails. So um, without further ado, also, well, before I bring her on here, just want to let you all know Get Out of Jail Sis will be happening this year, December 5th through the 7th. More information is to come. But without further ado, I am going to bring our guest, Ginger, up on stage.
Hi,
Hey, Ginger, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I am good. I am good. I'm glad to have you here. So I am going to go ahead and read and let everyone know what reclaiming your life, what get out of jail sis means in the reclaiming your life space, right? And so we use it as a metaphor for mental or an emotional space that someone enters during a trauma or as a result of a traumatic event. This jail can often be a coping mechanism that may have helped individuals survive the difficult situations but may no longer serve them in their present lives. So that's what get out of jail means in the reclaiming your life space. So it can, varies from person to person. Everybody jail is different. Sometimes it don't always have to be like a trauma. It can also just be stagnant or, just being complacent in a place in your life. So Ginger, tell us about yourself, who you are, what you do. Give us the little scoops about you.
Okay, so let me just tell you, I have my notes tonight because I gotta make sure that I don't miss anything because it's been a long day. But my name is Ginger and I am a speaker. I am the author of Thrive. How to Let Go, Find Purpose, and Flourish When Staying Seems Easier. I also have my own podcast called Get Up 10. I am a mom, I am a nurse, I am a daughter of the king, amongst many other things. But those are the ones I decided to share tonight.
All right, so you definitely wear many hats. I didn't even know that you were a nurse, so that's something new that I found out about you. Um, yeah, so I do see that somebody put that they just had a hip replacement. They're in rehab and have hip replacement. So I pray healing over your body. I pray that you would have a speedy recovery with everything with your hip. Um, so I apologize. I'm sorry. Okay. So can you share with us your personal jail or what do you think, jail means to you?
When I think about emotional or mental jail, I thought of 2019 to 2021. I was definitely not free at that time. And there was just, I feel like it was kind of like a domino effect because
Mm,
I had just finished college and I got this great paying job. And I
mm,
thought that I'm just supposed to like launch into the adult world now and do me. And I was angry because I was honestly just spoiled and young, and I was mad at my parents for things like financially that they weren't able to do for me at the time. And so my heart wasn't right because I was angry. And then I didn't really in the moment I didn't realize that there was anger there. And so
Mm-hmm.
I ended up getting into a relationship with somebody that I thought was something special, something different. Like I thought like this was the one. And long story short, that ended up being an abusive relationship.
Wow.
And that in itself is a form of bondage and misery. I just remember throughout my relationship, which ended up being a marriage, and throughout, I was also pregnant during the course of this. I was miserable. It was literally like a form of suffering in itself. And so many times, I was in so much pain that I just felt like it would be easier not to be alive. Like being dead would just be a lot easier because being alive was so painful at the time. But
Mm.
I had a little person in my stomach. So I knew that anything that would harm me or her like wasn't an option at the time. And I just didn't understand how I got in this situation. But I realized my heart was angry. So then I attracted an angry person.
Mm.
Then getting out of that relationship was not easy either because that came with some depression and anxiety that I had to overcome as well. And I'm definitely walking in deeper levels of freedom today, but it's been a
Amen.
process. It's been a process. And that was a short version.
Amen. So I want to just touch back a little bit where you said that it was painful being alive. At that moment, like if you don't mind, how were you going? Like, what was like going through your mind at that point? You know, where it got to that point where it was painful being alive, you know, like that's different, you know, hearing someone talk about that. And it could be somebody that's currently in a situation now where, you know, may feel like that. And how did you get from that point to say, you know what, I I need to get it together, you know?
Yeah. I so like I mentioned, after I graduated college, I was ready to do me and be my own person. And so I always have like loved hard. So when I met this man, it was like, yeah, like let's move away together. Let's get a house together. Like let's get married. And so we ended up moving. We met in New York and then we ended up moving to North Carolina. And it was right before the pandemic started. So when we moved, I really moved because he wasn't ready to commit to being full time in North Carolina because he was still holding on to his job in New York.
Mm-hmm.
So I was alone for a lot of my pregnancy. And then you have the pandemic unfolding, and I was working at the bedside at the time. And so there was a lot of nerves and just unknowns as that was all unfolding and just frustrations. And and then when he did finally move in like to our home, like get settled in our home,
Mm-hmm.
um, there was a lot of tension, there was a lot of arguments, and I would be frustrated because it's just a whole lot. Like working overnight as a nurse,
Mm-hmm.
you're tired. And then if you're not tired, you finally get to enjoy your day off. And like I would be in a good mood, like ready to do something, even if we just go to the park because you know it's COVID. And then we'd have an argument over something little. And
Mm-hmm.
me, I'm like, okay, like I get what happened. Let's move on. Let's go enjoy this day. And he would just like hold on to it, like wouldn't talk to me. So that was very painful and led to tension that would drag out for hours and sometimes into the next day. And
Mm-hmm.
so I would a lot of times just go into my bedroom and put worship music on because I didn't know what else to do. I didn't want to give into, I just remember feeling so much rage, and I'm not an angry person. So that was a lot for me. And so it was when I talk about suffering, that's a little bit more in detail. Like I would just be laying in my bedroom and I'm like, at this point, I'm gonna just go to bed because what else is there to do? And it was a lot to deal with. There was that. And then also just getting acclimated to being a homeowner and all the financial responsibilities that come along with that. And so life just seemed so heavy, and I was pregnant, and like there's no going back. We can't press the remote and go back to before the baby was there. Like this is happening. And so just trying to process all of that in a hostile or unsupportive environment, it was very hard. Yeah.
Oh, I could only imagine, especially being pregnant and just the safety of your unborn child. So, but I'm thankful and to God that you're out of that relationship, and you're in a different space now. So, what did well, you kind of answered that. So, what were the steps that you took to get out of that situation for you to break free? What was that like?
So this I wanted to write down because I was thinking about this last night. Like, what really allowed me to get from there to here? And I have a list, but don't worry.
Well, we got time. We got time. Don't worry about it.
I won't talk too much on any one point, but the things that I really attribute to where I am today is forgiveness, therapy, journaling, and I kind of grouped together prayer, worship, and fasting, and then serving. And so I want to talk a little bit about each of those. Forgiveness. Yeah.
Talk about forgiveness. I be telling people.
It's so real. It's so necessary because I had to forgive myself. Because I was upset. Like, how did I end up in this situation? Like, why did I allow all this? Like, why did I allow another person to treat me like that? And I had to release all of that. And then also I had to forgive my abuser because forgiveness is more so for you than it is for them. And till this day, he still will deny what he did, but that's okay because I've forgiven him. I've moved on. And I also had to go back and apologize to several people who during that time period that I mentioned, like that 2018, 2019, oh, it was really 2019, that 2019, 2020 time period, there were so many people and so many relationships that I mishandled because I was not in a good place mentally or emotionally. And so I literally backtracked, like whoever God put on my heart, I reached out to them and I apologized. And I was like, listen, I was not a good friend towards you. I was not a good partner towards you with in terms of I guess it's not really business, but I was volunteering with somebody who had a ministry for women, and I was so focused on my relationship that I didn't really give her the respect or courtesy that she deserved. And so I had to go back and apologize for that, and just so many other people, because I really wanted my heart to be free. I wanted to be healed on another level. So forgiveness was necessary. Therapy, I'm always going to advocate for Jesus in therapy. And that was even a journey in itself because I wanted to go to therapy probably in 2018, but I just didn't know how to go about it. So I put it off. But once I accepted, okay, I've been in an abusive relationship, we need to unpack this and make sure it never happens again, I got a lot more serious about finding the right therapist. And so at first, I just tried to go through my insurance from work, and I found this lady, and she was nice, but I didn't really feel like change or growth was happening. I felt like I was paying her to talk to her. And so I had to end that professional relationship. And I ended up finding my current therapist through Facebook, believe it or not. And she has been such a godsend. Like an amazing woman. And it was not easy working with her in the beginning because she called out things in me that I was not ready to accept, as far as like, hey, like you might be depressed. And I was like, what do you mean? No, I'm not. I'm fine.
Girl, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
It's uncomfortable.
Yeah. And I had to sit with it. And I was like, okay, maybe she's right. And so in the beginning, it was a lot of like, let's prevent this from getting farther than it needs to. And let's also just set goals for where we're going to go. And you're going to have assignments. It was just completely different from the first lady. And I think our professional relationship has evolved over the years because in the beginning, I had homework. I would see her more frequently. And now I check in less often. And it feels like we're just reinforcing the things that I learned in the beginning. So It's been great. And that woman is amazing. Like, I just bless her. I was always a journaler, but she really encouraged me as well to journal. And that has been huge for me because I put everything in my journals, the good, the bad, the ugly, just to get it out. I put my goals in there, my dreams in there.
Yeah.
Everything goes in there, and it's just healthy and good to get it out. And then to look back on it and be like, oh my gosh, like I was upset about that. Or like, oh my gosh, look how God came through for me. Or wow, like I actually achieved that goal and I wasn't even really thinking about it, but I wrote it down and so that has happened. And I grouped together prayer, worship, and fasting because they're I just see them as like spiritual disciplines. And so there was a lot of prayer. And I think the way that I have prayed in the last few years has changed from more of like, God, can you do this? God, can you do that? To like, God, your word says this. God, thank you for doing this. God, thank you that it's already done. And just putting him in remembrance of his word, saying thank you. Like every time I pray, I say thank you. Like,
yes, being grateful.
Yes, so big on saying thank you and just giving God gratitude. So important. And then also just praying to God, like about the little things, or like when I'm upset during the day and I want to call a friend, I'm like, all right, let me settle down and actually talk to God first. So just getting better about that as well, like letting him into those uncomfortable or like not pretty moments, just letting God in. Lots of worship because it creates the atmosphere and just does something to your heart. And also lots of fasting because, again, we needed to get right from the inside out. So I needed to hear from God. I needed to cut soul ties. I needed to, cancel any curses or whatever is lingering from the enemy. Like, so much fasting. And I'm so thankful for it because I've seen God move. So, and lastly, I like to talk about serving because when I was in the thick of my depression, I had the opportunity to serve at a local youth group and to get out of the house and be with these young people. I needed that so bad. And I remember for a long time, I was so sad inside that I wasn't really smiling or laughing. And one night we were having a leaders meeting and somebody said something and I just laughed. And it was like something broke off of me because I hadn't laughed genuinely in so long. And so that was because I showed up to serve and I got into a good atmosphere. But serving also takes your mind off of yourself because when you only focus on yourself, it's easy to get down and depressed. But when you get out and serve and see how you could pour into somebody else, help somebody else, be there for somebody else, it just shifts something. So those were definitely all key for me to get out of jail.
Yes. Okay, so I wrote a few things down just to kind of go back to forgiveness. So I always tell people, and like our journey of healing after our traumatic or jail experience is kind of similar because mine was the same. I had to do that whole forgiveness and actually went and forgave. I apologized to a lot of people as well. It wasn't pertaining to that relationship, but just everybody, just where I was going in my life. And so people don't understand forgiveness is very, very important.
Yeah.
It's not for them, it's for you to really, move forward with your life, because if not, you're still holding onto something in your heart. And the longer that you hold it into your heart, that changes. It changes to hate,
Mhm.
animosity, all of that, so forgiveness is definitely key. I want to touch on the therapy because some people, I think they don't realize that every therapist is not going to be a good fit, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Because I remember after I had a stillbirth, yes, because I had a
Mhm.
stillbirth and a miscarriage. So after I had my stillbirth, I did seek a therapist, but she wasn't giving. She wasn't doing nothing. It was just, why am I here type of thing. And I left. And from then I didn't go back to therapy for a good couple of years after that. And the therapist that I have, she was really, really good. She got me to where I needed to be at that point. And I just recently started back therapy, had my first session, and baby, let me tell you, she came for me. She didn't even know she was coming for me, but she came for me. And I was like, and like you said, you get that uncomfortable where you feel uncomfortable because
Yeah.
you really have to sit with it. And in order for you to heal and to move to the next level, because I believe that in life we go through levels. It's always something. We're going into one, coming, it's like you're going into one with some challenges, some trials and tribulations, and you're exiting out of that same one with trials and tribulations. So every time we grow, especially spiritually, it's just like, oh, Jesus, God, I just need a break. So this one, like I believe she's really, just from that first session, I was like, oh God, like I'm tired. Like it made me tired, but I feel like it's necessary for where I'm going, next. So for anyone who's out there, if you have a therapist and may not be a good fit, it's okay to find another therapist. So that's always good. And then I like how you said that like you're basically keeping God in the midst of everything. If you have a bad day, oh, let me talk to God first before I even try to call someone else. And I don't think a lot of us are, speaking for myself, I ain't gonna say a lot of us, I'm gonna just speak for myself. I'm getting better at, having that one-on-one conversation. It don't even just have to be prayer. It just be like, God, what am I going to do now? What am I going to do next? What's the next instruction for me? So I loved everything that you said, because that can just help people in anything. That you don't have to be coming out of an abusive relationship, to use the tools that you have suggested, what you did on your journey. So I did want to just piggyback off of that and touch on it.
Thank you. Before
Um,
we move on, let me just say, I want to make clear why the spiritual aspect was so important to me and my faith was so important to me in getting out of jail, because God definitely called me to walk in freedom. Okay. Like,
one,
that's been his purpose for me, and to walk in freedom and to set other people free. And so I got into jail all by myself. It was me,
mm,
myself, and I. Okay. I was not consulting God. After I finished college, it was about my goals, my to-do list, the bigger areas that I had in my head. And I was not consulting God. And God was trying to talk to me, and I was like, whatever, this is gonna be great. And so I really got humbled. And that's why I was like, I can't do this without him anymore. I really can't. So that's why I had to make all those adjustments and like get serious about my walk with him.
yes, yes, that is so true. We have to, because without God, it's like we have no direction. Like we need that guidance, we need that direction to know where we're going.
We're just wandering aimlessly without him.
Um, so I think you probably answered the next question as far, or And as far as pinpointing the most significant moment that contribute to your healing journey and recovery.
Yeah, I actually love this question because I never really thought about it. And I was like, is there really like one moment? Because I feel like there has just been like over the past couple years, it's been like breakthrough after breakthrough after breakthrough after breakthrough. And some have been really big and some have been smaller, but nevertheless a breakthrough in forward motion. But I thought about two moments that really stand out to me. And the first one is the day that I left, which I've shared this before, but I'll do like the long story short. When I left my at the time husband, my daughter's father, I wasn't planning on leaving for good. I just came to a realization that like the environment that I had my daughter in was not healthy, and we needed some space because this was not the type of home that I was trying to raise my daughter in.
Mm-hmm.
And so I remember I was talking to my friend and he was like, "All right, before you leave, like, because my ex-husband husband at the time, ex-husband now, he was at work. And so I was like planning on leaving. My friend was like, leave the right way, stop at his job, bring him lunch, like let him know that you love him, and then you go." And so I did that. I didn't leave like rudely or it was a little abrupt, but like I left on a good note. And literally the moment that I got in my car and started driving back up north, it was like clarity just came to me. And I kind of knew like, oh, there is no going back. But that was such a pivotal moment because when I was in the thick of it, I always think of, I don't know if it's like the backyard again. It's like, it's in the thick of it. That just plays in my head. But when, like I told you before, kind of a little bit about the environment that I was in with this man, and it was really hard to think straight in that. And so the clarity that I received, that came upon me, whatever the right way to say it is, it was like the clouds had like moved out the way. And I hadn't felt that in so long because I had just been living in like turmoil and chaos. So there was that moment. And another moment, because again, like I'm going to talk about God, was this one day. I think we were still heavily virtual everything because of the pandemic. And I was sitting in my parents' formal dining room. And I think I was watching Elevation Church and like Stephen Furtick at the time. And I don't remember the exact message. It was something about rain. And I love rain because like rain washes away, and then rain also makes way for like growth and like provision. But I just remember weeping on my parents' dining room table because it just hit me how I have been so stubborn and hard headed. And I had I was the prodigal daughter. Like I took God's goodness and I took it for granted. And he still loved me so much that he would see me through everything that I went through and bring me up out of it and like redeem me and restore me. And I was a mess, just realizing God's goodness towards me. And so that was another very big moment for me. And I kind of try to stay in that place of humility and just gratitude of like, thank you, God. Like, wow, you really love me, that I'm still here and I still have a new chance, a new day. You're still doing things in my life in spite of my foolishness.
Mm-hmm.
It humbles me real quick.
Sorry. Yeah. Well, that is beautiful, and that's what God would do, Sometimes, He would break us, we would go through some things, whether we put ourselves in it or He put us in it, but He's going to restore us and He's going to redeem us, as you said. And I think a lot of people don't realize that. And we get so closed-minded, so closed-hearted, where we don't allow God to come in so that He can do those things, And that's what He showed me when I was reading Tamar, David's daughter in the Bible, and I said, you know what, God, I haven't done it because it's some things that pointed out to me that stood out to me about her and why she kind of just fell off the face of the earth. That's how I'm just going to say, because I don't want to go too much into it. But we have to open our hearts. We have to allow God to come in to comfort us, to heal us. So I love that for you, especially, like that was two pivotal like breakthroughs at that point, like, yeah, that I like that. I like that for you. What advice would you offer to someone? Well, before I ask that question, I'll ask the next one and then close out with that one I was just going to say. So, in honor of Black History Month, who or what black person, African American person would you say inspired you?
So, first of all, I'm so happy that you included this question because I don't know why, but for me personally, like Black History Month this year, it feels very like far. I don't know, like I want to keep talking about it and bringing it up. Like I don't ever want it to like fade or die. So I'm happy that we get to have these conversations around Black history because Black history is just amazing and so important. But anyways, as I was thinking about this, because Black history is so big, like there's like 10 different people I could think of off the top of my head. But the one woman that I wanted to speak on tonight is Arian Simone. And I don't know if you're familiar with her, but she is the CEO and co-founder of the Fearless Fund, which is the first venture capital fund built by women of color for women of color. And she is going through it right now because she is facing lawsuits. And I'm not a legal person, but essentially, like, they're trying to accuse her of, like, I think discrimination or like keeping other people out, which is crazy because we've always been kept out. But anyways,
You're right.
yeah, but and this thing is going far. I haven't been keeping up with all of the updates and news articles, but I'm not sure if she made it to federal court, but like it was moving along in the justice system. And the way that she has just faced it from the beginning with her head held high, which, by the way, she is also a queen in the Ivory Coast of the Dawa people, which that is so cool. And I have had the honor of hearing her speak a few times. So the first time I was just so inspired by her story of resilience because we see people like at the top or like, after they've accomplished things and we think that they've always been there. So to hear her backstory was just so inspiring. And I feel like she is one of those people that slept in their car for a little bit. And that was just always so inspiring to me because I'm like, if she went all in on herself and to see where she's at now, like I can go all in for myself too. Right. And also, last year I was with her in Mexico, not like personally, but we were at the same event. She was one of the speakers and I got to just like observe her and we did do like a fitness class together. And I was trying to think of the right word to use without sounding too like weird or out there, but like she really just has such a confident, regal aura about her, and it's so beautiful. Like she is just such a classy person, and it inspires me. So I just wanted to shout Arian Simone out today.
Oh, well, thank you. I learned a little bit more about her. You going in more detail, but I did hear about her being sued, and then this started last year, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was just like, see, this is it. We can talk about that topic all day, every day because it's crazy.
Yeah,
it is crazy, but it's just trying to stop us from getting ahead, like all the time. We're a threat in their eyes, and it bothers them, and that's what I'm going to say to be nice. Uh, so with us closing out, what advice would you offer to someone who desires to break free from their own jail but feels bound by either comfort, fear, or self doubt? What would you share with them tonight?
So when I was reading this question, I wanted to address like the three things that you said specifically, because you said somebody who is comfortable, somebody who's afraid, and somebody who is doubting themselves. And those are completely different things. So for the person who is comfortable, because I've been getting uncomfortable lately. Not really my choice, but yeah, like there's beautiful things outside of your comfort zone. And I was actually just talking about this like last week, and it's just been so big on my heart lately of how there's so many, there's like people that we haven't met, like things that we haven't, places that we haven't experienced, activities that we've never done, foods that we've never tried. And it's all like in the unknown outside of our comfort zones. 'Cause I'm one of those girls that like, I'll try anything one time, and if I like it, I would have never known. And now I know, and it's great. And if I don't like it, well, at least I tried it. So
Right.
you never know what lies outside of your comfort zone. I like to think of it as like a door. You don't know what's on the other side of that door. But what I have learned is that when you do walk through that door, it's actually some really good things over there that you would never know. So it's okay to get a little bit uncomfortable, because the thing about being uncomfortable is that it could be painful. And the thing about life is that life comes with pain. And so it's either going to, it's either like the pain is going to happen to you regardless. So do you just want to sit there and be the victim, or do you want to like get up and walk in your control, like power and authority,
Mhm.
and have a little bit more control? Because if that makes sense, like I was
Oh,
supposed to give good. Okay. I was supposed to give a TED talk last month on discipline, and I talked about two different types of pain, the pain of regret or the pain of discipline. But instead of discipline, it would be like the pain of getting uncomfortable. But like you're the one choosing, kind of like working out, like you're the one choosing to get uncomfortable, but there's a reward, there is goodness. So if you're listening to this and you're comfortable, it's time to get uncomfortable. This is your sign. This is for you. I'm talking to you. It's time to get uncomfortable, but it's going to be really good. And you are, I feel like fear is kind of linked, but if you're afraid, I think you have to identify like what are you really afraid of? And also like we're so quick to think of everything that could go wrong, but what about everything that could go right?
Right.
And fear is a liar, okay? Fear is a liar. Anxiety is a liar. Depression is a liar. Your fear is lying to you. So don't be afraid. I was just listening to like an interview probably last night, and in the Bible, like the top two commands are like, do not be afraid and remember. And so time and time again, God is always telling us. I've heard it said that the Bible says, do not be afraid 365 times. And that is one time for each day. Do not be afraid. And also, I love talking about remembrance, because, like, when you remember every time that God has come through for you, everything that God has done for you, what are you really afraid of? Because God's got you. So, like, what are you really afraid of?
Come on.
Yeah.
He does.
For self doubt, get out of your head. Okay. Get out of your head.
That's what it is.
Yeah. And that's coming from a girl who I have my moments, but I've learned how to get over it. And that is by taking action. And sometimes it's not as easy as taking action. Sometimes I do need to phone a friend and just talk through it and realize, oh, yeah, I'm being really silly right now. Because we are so much more powerful and capable than we even realize. And my background, like I've always been a student athlete, and like to this day I work out almost every single day, and I'm just continuously like amazed by my own strength, and that's just
Mhm.
physical. So if I can, if my physical body has that kind of like ability, like what can my mind do? Like, what can I do like, with my heart? Like, where's the limits? Where's the boundaries? You know, like it's exciting. So just get out of your head. Whether you need to get going on the things that God has already told you to do, or whether you need to phone a friend and get some support to really speak life into you, it's time. Like, we got to get out of jail, okay? This ain't
That
it.
part.
So that's what I would say to each of those.
Yes, all of that, and sometimes it really is us in our head that we have to get out, and that's the way the enemy comes in to attack us is through our mind, and that's why we got to, I say we got to break the chains off our mindset, because if he comes in and attack you in your mind and you let him win, it I don't want to say it's over, but you're gonna have to come back really, really good from that, because once he get into your mind, he can get into so many different areas of your life. So I'm thankful for all those things that you have shared with us, and I hope that whoever's listening that needs help with the fear and the uncomfortability, especially with the fear, because I like what you said, because I never even heard it say that way, that it says in 365 times, do not be afraid. So that's something that you can even say to yourself each and every day, just to meditate on that. God does not give me the spirit of fear. If you have to say that every day, just say that every day, So I love that. So let us know how people can get in contact with you, reach you if they want to, speak with you, work with you, however, share your information.
Yeah. So my Instagram is like right there. Like flipped. It's Ginger and Fit, and I feel like Instagram is my main chick, but I'm on all social media. My TikTok is the same as my Instagram. I'm on Facebook as Ginger Fidget, and you can always go to my website gingerfidget.com, and my email's on there as well. You can contact me through my website. You can get my book through my website. You can listen to my podcast through my website. So it's all there.
What is the name of your podcast, so that if anybody wants to listen, they can find you?
It's called Get Up 10.
Get Up 10. Come on, y'all.
Yes.
Get Up 10.
Try to knock us down, but we're going to get up every single time.
Yes, I love it. So, Ginger, I thank you. I thank you for joining us tonight. I pray that someone was blessed by this, that you were able to take some nuggets away, because it definitely blessed me and opened for me to know you more. I mean, we met on social media, but I didn't know some of the information that you shared with us today. So I'm grateful to have you here tonight. So without further ado, I'm going to let you go back to your night. But again, thank you for joining.
Also want to say thank you to you as well for inviting me onto your platform. You beat me to it, because I was trying to get you on my podcast, and we're going to get it done one day.
Yes, so, we are.
I can't wait to hear more of your story and have the role switched where I'm asking the questions. But thank you so much for this opportunity. And I just love the work that you are doing. And yeah, you said Get Out of Jail, Sis, is going to be December 5th through 7th. That's right before my birthday. So that's going to be exciting.
Yes. Thank you. And looking forward to being on your platform as well. So thank you, everyone, for joining, and see you next time. Bye.